Okay, then I was just discovering your kind of a career and stuff that I didn't know that much. Like I am Morbid, the Morbid Angel guys, and your appearance there. So how did it happen, and how was it for you to play, or is it for you to play this kind of music? Because it's totally different style in case of a guitar. So
yeah. So
that?
that's a sort of a new passion of mine, you know, extreme metal. That's not something I grew up with at all. I didn't, you know, if I said I was even Sepultura being from Brazil, I never paid attention to them before, you know, like back in those days. I was never into the more extreme side of metal. I never liked the growling. But in 2008, there was an opportunity for me to audition for Morbid Angel when David was still in the band. And I mean, you know, I didn't know anything about the music, but I knew it was a popular band, and I knew it was something that it could be a good gig. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I did the audition, but at the time I had no idea how that music worked. You know, I wasn't the right guy, and I didn't get the gig, of course. You know, David was like, "You're not what we're looking for." But he saw something in me because we stayed in touch for many, many years. You know, this is 2008. And then we talked in like 2016, like 8 years after. At first, I had an offer for him from a Brazilian promoter for David to come by himself to Brazil and then like get local musicians and do Morbid Angel music, you know, covers basically. And when I told him that, he's like, "That doesn't sound like a bad idea, but like, why don't we just start our band and get the people that we know, you know?" So I'm I Am Morbid. I'm a founding member, even though I wasn't in Morbid Angel, you know. But our drummer Tim was in Morbid Angel as well. It was their last drummer. And then we got Ira Black at the time, which still is a really good friend of ours, but he's not in the band anymore. But that's how it started, with this offer to do this South America, these Brazil shows. And it didn't really, the shows didn't happen. That's the thing, you know, the tour fell through. But then we're like, now we're a band, you know, let's start doing this. So first thing we did is we did an European tour with a Flaming Arts agency, Vadim. And it was very successful. So we started doing a bunch of festivals, and we did a South America tour and a second European tour, and just started working, you know. But so as far as my favorite thing about playing this is like it's kind of a workout, you know. It's very, very, very challenging music to play, and if you fuck up a note, you mess everybody up, you know. Like it sounds. The truth is, it sounds like noise as it is when it's good, when it's well played. You know, when you fuck it up, it's really, really difficult to hear what's happening. You know? But it's almost like a sport. You know, it's really cool. You play all these notes and then everybody stops together. It's like a fucked up marching band. You know? So, but through playing with I Am Morbid and developing a taste to that music, I started discovering other bands that I like a lot. Now I'm a huge fan of Cannibal Corpse, you know, like this is music I never listened to before. And just doing I Am Morbid has opened up my mind. And actually the new Northdale record is heavier because of that. You know what I mean? I wasn't really into making things heavy until I understood what real heavy meant, you know.
Wow, so that's cool. And so what about your or the German bands where you were involved, like U.D.O or the Dirk Schneider, doesn't really matter, or now Doro, you know. So how the hell, you know, have you even there?
Yeah, that's pretty random too. So with U.D.O, so I have a friend. Her name is Kendra, if she's watching this, and Kendra told me that U.D.O had just lost a guitarist. And the guitarist who had quit was actually her friend, Kasperi from Beast in Black. And so Kasperi left the band, and she told me, you know, these guys don't have a guitarist now. You should talk to them. And like, that's actually something that a lot of people told me, you know, like when they announced that he was out, like 4 or 5 people told me that I should try out. But I didn't know anyone, you know. Kendra knew the guy who left. And then she's like, I'll get in touch with them and see, you know, what they think. And sure enough, they were interested, you know, and apparently thinking of contacting me too, you know. So I'm like, well, that's perfect, you know. Within 2 days, I had a ticket to Germany, and I just started rehearsing with them right there. And it was awesome. I mean, I loved working in the band, you know, like the crew was cool. I'm still really good friends with Andre, their guitarist, his band. Even the new guys, you know, Dee is a really good friend of mine too. So
I know him from the tour because we played with some band.
Yes, Recognition.
Yeah. And we saw him, and we were thinking like, what the hell, you know, he was young, but he was brilliant, you know, he's got a technique and style. Well, he had technique and style already.
Exactly, and oddly enough, like Boss, the guy I'm staying with right now, the Doro guitarist, one of his friends has something to do with that band too, Recognition, that played with us. There's a lot of connections in the industry. But yeah, even he is a friend of mine. It was cool. But then see, like Doro, you would think that, you know, that's how I met them, but it's not. It's not. It's absolutely not. So Doro came. First of all, I met the Doro guys with when I was still in Circle to Circle at the Full Metal cruise. You know, we did a cruise together, and we became friends right there. Mitch, the bass player in Circle to Circle, already knew Boss, and we ended up meeting. Then they came through to LA. Like my guitar tech, unfortunately passed away. Kyle was also working for them, so they came through LA and we all hung out with Kyle. And so I mean, I had a friendship with the band that goes like years before I ever thought about playing with Doro. Then we did do a show together, U.D.O and Doro, one time, and then I kind of like that. After that show, I came here and stayed with Boss already. We were getting even closer. And then in 2017, Chris Caffrey was supposed to play with Doro, and he got into an accident the same week that he was supposed to play with them at Proud Power too. You know, I already played Proud Power 6 times with different bands, the last one being Doro. And then when Chris got into the accident, the TSO office actually called me about the Doro gig. So they made the connection for me, even though I already knew the band. You know, like it again, right time, right place. You know, like same deal kind of as TSO. It's got nothing to do with the U.D.O connection. And so I ended up being in 2 German bands, and my German is not that good. But it is getting better, you know.
And how do you do it with your time schedule? You know, like when you have so many projects and bands during the years, how are you, you know, building up your plan for touring or stuff like that? Because, or are there any crashes in this case or not?
It's only happened once. It's happened in the summer of 2017. I had a really bad like double booking situation where I had like an I Am Orbit tour, and then I got into U.D.O's band, and U.D.O had 11 festivals. That's the thing. U.D.O wasn't on tour. He was doing like weekend festivals, but 11 of them. So I was doing ridiculous shit like finishing a show in Poland, flying to Germany to play with U.D.O, then leaving the stage and going to the airport to fly back and do another. Yeah. So on that tour, I actually ended up missing 3 I Am Orbit shows, which, you know, David was super mad at me for, and he was right. You know, I told him that would never happen again. And it sucks because one of the shows I had to miss was the Winter Masters of Rock Festival, which man, like, you know, I missed that to do some regular U.D.O show from the tour. And that really pissed me off. I remember playing with U.D.O there maybe a week before, and George asking me like, "How are you gonna do the I Am Orbit show if you're on this tour?" I'm like, "I'm not." He's like, "I booked the band with you in it." I'm like, dude, yeah.
Oh like, fuck, that's
sorry, George. but yeah, I mean, you know, that's the only time that's ever happened. 2017. Any other time I've been able to just you know, it work, and sometimes it works beautifully. I'll be on a tour for like 4 weeks and then fly to Europe and start another one the next day. You know, it doesn't even feel like it just feels like one big run, you know. Yeah, it's worked out great, man. It's never this situation with I Am Morbid and U.D.O was the only double booking I ever had.
Okay, so you're lucky in this case because there's so many huge gigs, you know, you are in, and if it works somehow during the years, then it's super great, I would say.
Well, there was a situation with these Doro shows that would have happened, but didn't, where Northdale was supposed to be out with Unleash the Archers, and we had 2 Doro shows within that period. Now, for what I understand, Doro was gonna have Look Up later shows, but in my head, I already had a replacement for me in Northdale, you know. So I was like, and he was gonna do Winter's Master of Rock too. I was like, that's gonna be awesome, you know, like
that's a curse, you know.
I'm gonna miss the second time, and even in my own band, you know. But you know, because he got canceled, it worked out great, and I don't have that anymore.
And so now let's talk about Northdale a bit more, because I remember the time when you were just trying to find out the best name for the band, etc., etc. So how is it going now? You are about to release a second album, and what was the original idea, or why have you created this band, you know, like your own, when you were a part of these huge acts on the scene?
So you know, that's a very good question, very important too. So like you said, they're very huge acts, but like nobody knows what the hell I sound like. You know, everybody knows my name. A lot of people know my face. Like I'm not unhappy with the level of popularity I achieved. You know, I have fans, I get it. But nobody knows what the fuck I sound like, because they're only seeing me there because they cannot see Chris Caffrey. They're only seeing me there because they cannot see Wolf Hoffman. You know what I mean? So I'm always the guy that you see because you can't see that other big guitarist, you know. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but that becomes a job, you know. So in my head, what I started, honestly, like playing with U.D.O at festivals, I started seeing bands like Twilight Force, like Bloodbound, and that was a genre of music that I knew I was amazing at, because I really like, you know, and that I never had a chance to play, you know, like this happy power metal. Like the truth is, more than Savatage, more than anything that I was a fan of, I like bands like that. You know, Halloween's one of my favorite bands. Stratovarius is one of my favorite bands. You know, so it's cool. I've done all this stuff, but I've done nothing that sounded like that. When I saw Bloodbound, I saw Twilight Force, I saw Glory Hammer, I'm like, all right, so there's a market for this now. You know what I mean? So at first, the idea started brewing in my head, just you know, doing festivals like that.
Okay.
But then, and I had a couple songs. I wasn't taking it too seriously. You know, it was sort of, at the time too, I was thinking that maybe I was better off doing an instrumental album, like an Yngwie Malmsteen thing. You know, like eight instrumental songs and 2 with vocals. So I started looking for a singer to do the 2 with vocals. And one day we were playing with U.D.O at Sabaton Open Air, and I met up with Christian, who was the old singer at Twilight Force, you know, and well, he was still in the band at the time, and I was a huge fan of his voice, you know, like I heard the band, I'm like, man, that guy's like Michael Kiske, you know, like you don't see that all the time. So I start talking to him, and when we went to Sweden, me and him met up. We had lunch, we talked, and I'm like, fuck, you know, like if I could get this guy in a band. So I started sweet talking him, you know, until he finally left Twilight Force. And then the same day, I'm like, dude, you're my singer now, or something. You know, so when that happened, I'm like, dude, I got a singer, because that was always the problem, man. You're a singer, you know how it is to sing that style well, you know. So when
that's
I
like
did,
the
I'm
face
like,
of the band anyway. It's like the face of the band anyway, you know.
So I'm like, now that I have a singer, I can actually turn this into a band. And he brought the bass player, he brought the drummer, I brought in the keyboard player. So, but at this point, we're like, okay, we have this idea, we have a bunch of songs. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'm still employed by all these other bands. That was the thing too. I didn't have to think at any moment like, oh, will this music sell or will a label sign this? I didn't have to think of that because if they didn't, I still got a job. And luckily enough, Nuclear Blast got us before I even had the whole album. Like I signed after we had a demo. So that really helped, And then the more things like that started happening, the more I wanted to take the band seriously. And now that's all my efforts that aren't going into a band that I'm hired for are going into Northdale. It's all I think about, all I do all day.
Cool, that's great. And good luck with that for the future, because I think there is a potential, it's great songwriting, great vocal, as you said, great sound, great songs. I really like it.
I appreciate it, man. We were supposed to have done Winter Masters of Rock, but the tour fell through. Hopefully next year. I hope. Well, dude, I really want to make it to the Czech Republic because you guys are the metal country of Europe. That's where everything brews, there everything starts.
Thank you so much.
I never played a bad show in the Czech Republic. Never. Even the shows, like, what's the name of that little venue that now?
Oh, yeah, those clubs,
Yeah, even those are awesome. Like the Melodka, the Nova Chmelnice or whatever.
Yeah, Nova Chmelnice, yeah.
Even those places are always awesome. So I George, if you're watching this, bring Northdale to the Czech Republic, man. Well, not you, the other George.
I know. I'll tell him we're in touch as well because Sebastian is going to play on Masters of Rock 2022 next year. Hopefully, if COVID wouldn't stop it. So hopefully, maybe we can meet there.
That would be amazing, my friend.
Okay, maybe I would like to finish the interview with more like guitarists kind of stuff because I read somewhere that you compare Seymour Duncan pickups. Why? Because usually, for this kind of style, you use EMGs, or most of the guitar players use EMGs and all this kind of stuff. So why Seymour Duncans?
All right, so not anymore. I'm no longer working with Seymour Duncan. I still have them on some of my guitars, but I'm not endorsing anymore. I'm not working with them directly. Right now, I'm working with the Blackfire pickups, which is this new brand founded by Gus G. He was a Seymour Duncan artist for a long time. So his pickups really have a Seymour Duncan feel to it. Speaking of which, I have one right here to show right now. So Blackfire pickups, and this is the Immortal. This is the Immortal. It's very similar to the Duncans that I'm used to, but I'm a better friend of the owner of this company than Duncan.
Okay, so that makes sense.
But to answer your question, I'm moving away from the EMG stuff just because it's too it's good for tracking rhythm guitars. It's even if you're playing with like a Kemper or stuff like that, more digital, that's great. But it is true that it makes your playing lose dynamic, and I hate to say this, but sometimes I think that you need to be at a certain level of playing to notice that the EMGs suck. I didn't say the EMGs suck. Oh man, I'm sorry.
I haven't heard that.
Well, no, it's not that they suck. It's not that they suck, but they take away the dynamics. They really do. It's not just the EMGs, because I also played the Seymour Duncan Blackouts, and I felt the same way. It's like it's the difference between a really light pick and a really heavy pick stroke. I like it more when it's more natural. I'm not a fan of the actives anymore, except for stuff like that. Really, really, really distorted metal that needs to be all the same. Stuff like that. Sure, but not for the music I play, especially because in Northdale, particularly in Northdale, the music is so fast if it's all the same like that, I think it can even get muddy sometimes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, talking about this, are you practicing your right hand somehow, especially, or do you have some kind of, I don't know, some kind of technique or practicing, or I don't know what, stretching, of your hand, because it's really fast for your right hand. So how are you working on your body in this case, or on your hands?
Well, I have warm-ups that I do for both hands separately. So I start, although I'm finding out learning these fucking Doro songs that my down picking isn't as fast as I thought it was. But I do these warm-ups where I start the click and I do down picking 16th notes at like 80. Pa, 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 pa. That's basically the first thing I play to like get the hand loose. And then I do like that kind of, the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercises but only with the left hand. Mm-hmm. Like I like to practice the hands independently, because that I always say that you can only play as fast as you can play without picking. You know what I mean? Because you see a lot of guys that, I play faster with both hands. No, if you're playing with both hands, you think it's faster. It's sloppy. If your left hand isn't following the right hand, then it's not that fast.
Sure.
So for endurance, I start, like I said, the right hand, all down picking, minute, 2 minutes, and then increasing until it's too fast and I have to stop. Mm-hmm. That's the point that I feel warmed up. But I do, man. I do little trills all day. Like not now that I'm here and we're playing, and then a lot of the time we're just hanging out. But when I'm home, I'm always holding a guitar, playing some kind of scale or arpeggio, some kind of ornament, some kind of something. I'm always playing. Like I'm kind of obsessed with it too.
I see. Okay. So I would say that's all from me here, because we were talking about, I think, everything. So do you have anything else that you would like to say to your fans or friends here in the Czech Republic? Like any plans for the future or any statements? Now it's
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys for being so cool, over the years. Circle to Circle, U.D.O, all these bands that have been out there, always had great reception. Like I said, I would like to bring Northdale out there. Thank you for this interview, man. It's cool that we've been able to be in touch, for this long, even after years.
Finally, after like 100 years.
Yeah, exactly.
See each other again.
You actually, I think I saw you in 2016. Didn't you come to a Circle to Circle show?
Yes. It was in Erno, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
I just because we already had Marcel on drums, even, right?
Yeah. Adam was not there anymore, unfortunately. But that was a gig promoted by the guy called Ozzy. He was also George Ozzy, and then he hanged himself. Not so long later. So that was the last time I saw him.
That sucks, man. I had no idea.
Yeah, but it was great to see you there after some time.
Man. So hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll see each other sooner than later, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
If you would come here to the Czech Republic, or if you would plan to come here, just let me know, and we're gonna have a couple of beers, right?
Will do, my friend.
Okay. So cheers, man. Thanks a lot for the interview. Have a great day and take care and stay healthy. Right?
All right, man.
Okay. So bye-bye. Ciao.